welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down an ancient story, but we're not looking at it as a religious text. Instead, we're going to decode it as an incredible masterclass in leadership and communication. We'll analyze how one of history's most influential figures used strategic delay to put his mission way ahead of public perception. We live in this get it now world, right? One-click buying, instant streaming. We expect everything immediately. But what if the most powerful move a leader can make isn't to act right away, but to wait? Sometimes you learn the most about a person's core values by what they choose not to do and why. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage and look at the power of waiting. Then, we'll dive into this core conflict, spectacle versus actual substance. After that, we'll see how a leader's perfect timing comes into play, what the real mission was, and finally, what this all means for sharing any important message. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with a leader, Jesus, and he's at this really critical moment. He's just had a major setback, and a whole bunch of his followers have actually walked away. Now get this. This timeline is where you can really start to see the strategy unfolding. After this huge public event at Passover, there's a 7-month gap. 7 months. It's this period of intentional quiet where the focus just completely shifts from public miracles to private, intense teaching. So the big question is, why go silent? All right, so as this major festival gets closer, the pressure starts to build. But here's the twist. It's not coming from his opponents. It's coming from his own family, and they have a very, very different idea about what his next move should be. So his brothers come to him, and they're basically like, go to the festival. Show them what you can do. Perform more of your works, more miracles, and win back those crowds. They are laser-focused on the show, the spectacle, and frankly, what it'll do for the family's reputation. And it all boils down to this. They want the theatrics, not the theology. I mean, they're demanding a performance, while his whole mission has always been about the message. They want all the benefits that come from his works, but they're not really interested in believing his words. So think about it. His own family is pushing him to just go put on a show. How does he handle that pressure? Well, instead of caving, he introduces this incredibly powerful principle. He's operating on a completely different timetable. It's one that's driven by his mission and his mission alone. He tells his brothers straight up, your time is always here. Why? Because they're in sync with the world's schedule. But his time, well, that's different. It isn't dictated by the festival calendar or by popular demand. It's dictated entirely by his purpose. The sermon uses this perfect modern analogy to really drive the point home. It's just like Gandalf, right? A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. Jesus' timing is just like that. It's perfect because it serves the mission, not the expectations of everybody else. He's never late, and he is never early. And this all leads to the big resolution. After his brothers take off for the festival, Jesus goes too, but he does it in a way that completely flips their expectations on their head. He doesn't make that grand entrance his brothers were pushing for. Nope, he arrives quietly, almost in secret. He completely sidesteps the whole caravan of hype that would have been a massive distraction from his real purpose. It's like a special operator flying under the radar to get straight to the objective. So he gets there, and what does he find? Just total confusion. The city is buzzing with rumors. The crowd is deeply divided. You've got some people saying he's a good man, and others saying, no way, he's leading people astray. But it's all just whispers, this muttering, because no one is willing to speak their mind openly. They're all afraid of the leaders. So how does he solve this problem? This deep confusion? Not with another miracle. They've already seen plenty of those, and another one would just create more spectacle. So what was the right solution? He provides that they truly need. He walks into the temple and starts to teach. He gives them substance. So what does all this add up to? Well, it brings us to the ultimate takeaway here, which is really about the whole purpose of having a valuable message in the first place. Remember how everyone was afraid to speak up? It turns out the people in charge, the religious leaders, were the very ones creating that fear. They were actively preventing the people from hearing the one thing they actually needed, the teaching. And this illustrates the core takeaway so brilliantly. You don't take a light and hide it under a basket, of course not. You put it on a lampstand for everyone to see. The point is, a message with real value, A truth that brings clarity and cuts through confusion isn't meant to be hidden. It's meant to be put out in the open. So, this entire case study in strategic patience leaves us with a final thought. In a world that rewards the loud, the flashy, and the immediate, it really challenges us to stop and consider what message has so much substance that it's worth protecting, worth timing perfectly, and ultimately worth sharing.